we've gotten through a lot over the last 8 months, and we're really embarking at a new stage here for Trigon, where we got our competition approval from the government of Namibia. That will be one of the final steps in concluding the sale to Horizon, and wanted to introduce to shareholders and reintroduce to shareholders our work in Morocco, predominantly the Addana project, where we'll start drilling in a couple of weeks. As a company, we've been involved in Morocco dating back to 2019, when we first started at Silver Hill, and now we've got a whole new area to explore at Addana that I'm really quite excited about.
Great. I've been getting a lot of calls as of late. I was wondering perhaps if you could go over the transaction that we struck with Horizon. A lot of investors wanting to know where we are in terms of closing the transaction and what we can expect from them in terms of payment and some other facets of the deal.
Perfect. So I think this is something we need to provide clarity on, because we're in a unique position as a company where with the transaction, we have this pipeline of cash that's coming into the company. Initially, we started with this advance of a loan amount of $2 million US. Now, on the close of the sale, all the debts from Trigon, that held by Trigon from Horizon, will be wiped clean. So we'll start off fresh, and we'll have the capital that we have on the balance sheet, which will be about $2 million US. Now, starting in April, which would be 9 months from our vote that we concluded in July, we will be receiving $3 million every 3 months from the $24 million principal amount for the asset sale. So selling Kombat will bring in $24 million, and like I said, it'll come every 3 months starting in April of next year. So we have the $2 million right now, and then starting in April, we'll have that $3 million amount that'll come in regularly.
And what happens when Horizon starts operation at Kombat? How does that impact us in terms of that next bullet payment that we're kind of expecting?
Sure. So there's two things that'll be catalyzed by that. Firstly would be the royalty. So we have a royalty that lasts for 5 years. It will come quarterly, and that is 1% on copper revenues, provided that copper is above $4 a pound. Now, we have an ability to have we have some flexibility around those royalty payments. So in periods where there's where copper is low or production is low, we can elect not to take one of our quarterly payments and delay it to a time when there's going to be higher production. So we have some flexibility on that, and ultimately that should generate about $250,000 a quarter, provided they come back at the production levels that we last operated. If they expand, then it can increase the cash flow up to about maybe even $500,000 a quarter. Right now, where we're sitting, copper's over $4.80 a pound, so it'd be a tidy amount that we'd be able to earn each quarter when they come back to production.
So based on where we are in copper right now, what is the total consideration for this deal that we'll ultimately be getting? So assuming that copper stays where it is till they get back into production and they start milling at a 2,000 tons per day scenario.
Yes, as far west. Yeah. So interestingly, Horizon's plan is to push for larger production immediately. And that has a big impact on us because not only do we have the consideration, the principal consideration, we also have the consideration for the expanded scenario. At where we are at copper, which is over $10,000, that would catalyze another payment of 13 million US. So 24 plus the 13 is 37 plus the royalty. The royalty, if it stays $1 million, then adds another 5 million. So we'd be up to 42 million US in total consideration for the asset. There are a couple other scenarios if metal prices continue to accelerate. There is like an outside chance that we have we get that $13 million payment even sooner if we get up to $15,000 a ton. At $15,000 a ton, our royalty becomes pretty interesting as well.
Okay. Have they actually started to do anything at Kombat right now? Have they kind of signaled that they're starting to acquire anything or assimilate workforce or other components to the mine that will get them back into production?
Absolutely. There's been significant investment already, a lot of work on planning on the restart and dewatering. They're also looking at putting in some of the measures that we had hoped to do as well, like ore sorting and recovering lead. If you'll remember the mine, we always knew there was a lead component to the ore. They're doing work right now on having a lead circuit as well.
I see. Okay.
I think it'll be good ultimately for Namibia and for the Kombat community, which we still hold dear. And gets some new investment in there. So I think it's a good transaction for everybody. We've now got capital to do our investment going forward in Morocco, and Kombat will be restarted and hopefully be bigger and better than it was previous.
Well, now that we're shifting our focus to being an exploration company in Morocco, can you tell us what you like about Addana and what are our short-term plans for Addana?
Sure. I'll start with the short-term plans. We are moving drill crews now so that we can get drilling in the next few weeks in Addana. Addana is an area that I've been excited about since I've been in Morocco. So I've been traveling back and forth to Morocco for now 15 years. Addana is an area where we were first attracted to it by slag at an ancient mill that's in the middle of this valley, and we could see tons and tons of slag. In fact, we quantified it at one point. We thought it might even be an operation that we could have just cleaning up all of the slag. The slag comes grades high in lead. There's silver in the slag. Copper shows up in the slag. Even some hints of cobalt from time to time. But what I believe they were recovering there was silver. Now, above where that slag was generated is in the hills of Addana. We have over 120 square kilometers of exploration ground that was granted to us, and that's 100% Trigon ground. On that ground, in every one of those claims, we've been able to identify veins that have been worked historically. In fact, if you were to look at it on Google Maps, you would be able to see the veins in this area. We've quantified the veins that they tend to be 40 centimeters thick at surface, and then in areas where they're intense, they're like 2.5 meters, 5 meters apart from each other, and there's hundreds of these veins. In fact, we can see on that ridge of Addana we can see these veins for over 20 kilometers of strike length. It's a very big area. We know that they mined here historically. They probably didn't get very deep. They took very rich material out, and it looks like it even on just the veins, I think we've got the makings of a pretty amazing project. Where we could get really lucky is the veins widen as they go down, which would not be uncharacteristic. That the grade could go up as we go down. Also, the veins at surface tend to be galena, which is a lead mineral with very high silver. Is that we could see them get richer as we get deeper, but maybe even get some other minerals. Like I said, when we were looking at the slags, we saw a lot of copper, maybe hints of gold. It's pretty exciting. Poking our first holes into this, talking to the old timers in the area, it is quite rich. The veins do extend at depth. But having the first drill holes drilled here in, I don't know, ever, it's going to be exciting to see what we're able to unearth.
And if you were going to compare this project to another project in Morocco, which one would be the closest analog to it?
So in Morocco, this is going to be new ground. What it might be similar to is maybe a Boumadine, which is a silver dominate polymetallic, but I think that's maybe a stretch. Like I'll let our VPX Andy talk about what's happening geologically. I'm an engineer, which can only get me into trouble, but I the extent that we're seeing the mineralization suggests that these veins are something leaking off of a larger structure, probably sedimentary, given that the veins that we're seeing are in sedimentary rocks, which is a good recipe for a very large deposit. When I think of it in my career and where I've seen things like this, you could say the Coeur d'Alene area in the U.S. Also, I was, as a research analyst, I spent some time in China looking at Silvercorp's Ying mine, which wouldn't be over the same kind of lateral extent, but the veins are similar, where you have these veins, a meter and a half thickness, very high grade silver with base metals. This is that type of deposit.
Oh, great. A lot of our shareholders have been very excited about us trying to get out there onto the ground, particularly given where we are in the silver market right now.
Absolutely. No, we're in a unique position. The shares are not reflecting even the value of the cash that we have coming in. And we've got a project in a jurisdiction that I think is getting a lot of excitement, and a commodity that's just doing amazing things right now.
When you look at silver, it's at all-time highs.
What they were digging up, it was silver, it was lead, and it was zinc, and copper. So we know what is in there, and now we want to go and under-drill their workings.